And so finally, Whole Cake Island has come to an end. Man, what a journey. I mean, I know many have their own little problems, obviously, with the way this arc concluded. I've heard it loud and clear. But, man, I have to say that this arc really took me by surprise. It was quite fun. I can't wait to see some of these scenes finally animated. But to get right into it, though, this chapter, personally to me, I think this was a perfect bow on top to conclude the arc. Now, to tackle the elephant in the room, I know the reason why people are upset with this chapter, or this arc in general, is because it didn't conclude the Big Mom stuff. It didn't give us closure to Mother Caramel. It didn't give us closure to some of the things that was set up with the cake. I understand that, and I see why some are complaining, but in reality, when you think about the big picture of this arc, taking down Big Mom was never the true objective. That was never the goal of this arc at all. It never was. The entire objective of Whole Cake Island was to get in, get out, save Sanji, get the Poneglyph if you can, like I said, and then get out. That was the entire point, and then meet up in Wano. So, that was the objective. And when you look at everything that was set out to do for this arc, it accomplished that. And everything else was kind of attached on. It was like little attachments to expand upon this arc. And in a way, this arc was just setting up the narrative for when we finally have Big Mom Part 2. When we come back to Big Mom's area, or deal with Big Mom again, Katakuri and all of that, which it will happen. Katakuri himself even said, "You will come back, right? To take down Big Mom," and Luffy gave him his word, like, "Yeah, I will." That lets us know that there will be a continuation of this. Just those words alone between Katakuri and Luffy let us know that this will continue. So, it was very obvious that we were not going to get closure with a lot of things with Big Mom. And that's one of the big reasons why people are upset with this arc, is because it didn't give us that closure. Because normally when it comes to One Piece arcs, usually you get some closure, especially with like the main villain that was set up in the arc. And in a way, Big Mom was kind of like that big antagonist of the arc, the villain, but she wasn't brought down. And I want to point something out to you guys, okay? Any of you that, did not like this conclusion to the arc, or the arc in general, Big Mom is a Yonko. She is one of the 4 emperors of this series that have been built up for a very long time. The level of Whitebeard itself. Now, let's back up real quick and think about everything. Think about how this arc started, or how the second half of One Piece started. For instance, the New World. Soon as we got into Fishman Island, we got to see Big Mom for the first time. She was introduced. And then right after that, we started finding out stuff more about Kaido, setting up to take him down. And ever since Punk Hazard, which was a very long time ago, like years upon years ago in real life time, when you think about all of this setup just to be able to finally face him when Wano comes around, that's insane. So taking down Big Mom in just one arc, it would not have been good from a writing standpoint. It would have undermined the build-up to Kaido. So anyone that wanted Big Mom taken down in this arc, honestly, I think that was very unrealistic, personally to me. Now, that's just my opinion there. Anyways, let's talk about what this chapter did, and how I think this is a really good bow on top for the entire arc until we get some continuation to it, when we get closure to certain things. Number 1, the Pudding and Sanji stuff. It's very clear by the way that scene was done that Oda has plans for that in the future. With Pudding kissing Sanji, which is officially confirmed now. You could see the way she got closer to him and kind of raised up, she was going in for a kiss. It wasn't just getting rid of his smoke, it was giving him a kiss. She gave him a kiss, and then she removed his memories. And we do get clarification that she didn't remove all of Sanji's memories of her. She just removed that one moment of when she gave him a kiss. And so, from what we could see from that scene, it's kind of like Pudding did her marriage kiss. She kissed Sanji, and that officially made them husband and wife. Because if we think about what this arc has been about, it's been about Sanji and Pudding's marriage. They've been trying to marry, or that's what was supposed to happen. And with Pudding offering a real kiss to Sanji in that moment, it's kind of like saying she does want to be his wife. So that's kind of saying that these two might as well be an official couple. And right now, Oda's putting that on hold until, like I said, we finally return back to Big Mom, her plot, and all of that. And so, with her removing the memories, she has something to hold on to until Sanji finally does return. She has something to hold on and always remember Sanji by, because she can always look at, the tape and all that, the memories of Sanji, and when she kissed him in that moment, how he looked. So I think that was a really sweet moment, especially when she was calling Sanji a pet name. She actually said GG in this, and I'm like, yo, what? Like, she actually called him a cute little nickname, and I'm just... That makes me happy, because it lets us know that Pudding really does care deeply about Sanji, and Sanji most likely would willingly accept her in open arms and all of that, and probably marry her, because that's Sanji. We know how he is, and we can see that he probably would marry Pudding if it was in any other way. If this entire arc was a little bit different, he definitely would have married her on the spot. So, yeah, I do like the closure to that. I like the answer we got to Pudding, and it does let us know that Pudding deeply cares about Sanji, and Sanji probably would answer in return and say like he wants to marry her. That has to be put on hiatus for now. This was probably the most unexpected moment of the chapter for me. I did not expect to get some closure to why Katakuri acted like he did, why he hid his face, especially when he's so strong. It kind of made me a little bit blown away. When this man was very, self-conscious about his face, you'd think someone that's that strong, people wouldn't really make fun of him. For instance, if they did, they knew they would die. And so, I was always questioning, like, even though I know he's self-conscious about it, it's obvious that he was, just why would he go so far to do something like that? Why would he hide and act like that to keep up this image around his family? And Oda decided to give us a treat and give us some closure to that. Katakuri, in the past, he used to go around with his face not covered at all. His family know about his real face, how he is, how, his face really looks, but, he didn't cover it in the past. And the reason why is because anyone that would make fun of him, he would just beat the crap out of him. They laughed at him, called him Pelican Face. He would get rid of them right then and there. They're done. And that was the end of it. But the thing is he realized very quickly, a hard lesson, that sometimes if the person that was picking on you or said names to you and you come and hurt them, if they know that they can't take you down or hurt you physically, then they'll strike you in another way, which they struck at Katakuri through his family or his loved ones, which was Brûlé. And so when Brûlé got struck and had her face completely cut, which explains the scar on her face, which that, by the way, holy crap, Oda. Holy crap, that's good setup. Like, that's legit good setup with the scar on Brûlé's face and all that. I did not see that coming. That's one of the reasons why I love Oda so much as a writer. Just stuff like that. That subtle build-up when it comes to certain character traits and stuff that individual characters have. And just seeing Brûlé's scar being that important to Katakuri blew me away. But anyways, though, Katakuri, he realized that Brûlé got hurt because of him, because he harmed someone, and they got to him through his sister. And then his sister's like, don't worry about me and all that, and showing that Brûlé really cared about Katakuri. And it really kind of gave us some clarification to kind of how these two, the relationship, or how Katakuri had this bond with his family, why he wants to protect his family so much, is because he doesn't want people harming them. And so he always looked like, a monster. He always looked like a stone-cold killer, because he didn't want anyone to make fun of him and then in turn cause it where he hurts them and then they hurt his family. He just didn't want that in the first place. So I do like that, and it does also let us know that a while back when we saw Flambe and all that state that 40 out of 41 brothers stated that they voted for her to be the best little sister, we now know who was the brother that did not vote for her, and we also know the brother that and who he voted for. It's very obvious out of the 41 brothers, and the only one that did not vote was obviously Katakuri, and he obviously voted on Brûlé because of that little exchange he had in this chapter. I mean, when she starts talking to him, and she's like, if I told you to how, Luffy was doing, how the Straw Hats were doing, where they were at right now, you'd probably say that's some great news and all that, and you would probably, smile, and that's exactly what he did, and Brulee's like, I knew it. And so it lets us know that Brulee really understands her brother. She really knows how he is, and she knows that he came to respect Luffy quite a bit in that fight, and I feel like that's going to hold a lot of weight in the future. But she does say that she cannot forgive him. And the reason why is because Katakuri suffered a lot of injuries. In a way, he got hurt a lot. His entire person got trashed, because when you think about what happened with his loss, it's going to change a lot in Big Mom's crew. Big Mom's probably not going to look at him the same, and on top of that, others might think he's not as strong as he once was, just different things like that. So when you see that, it lets us know that Brulee, it's understandable why she won't forgive Luffy because of that, but also at the same time, she does understand why Katakuri does care about Luffy and why he actually respects him. Speaking of respect, Brulee mentions that you were falling forward, but then you decided to fall on your back. That lets us know that Katakuri, he purposely fell on his back. He could have fell forward, but then he forced himself to fall backwards, which that proves that in a way he let Luffy win. Let me explain before you want to start slitting my throat, okay? I've already explained that I thought Katakuri won in the first place, like he let Luffy win. But this does give clarification to that. See, with Katakuri falling forward and then falling backwards, this is kind of what happened. He knew he was fallen, but then he could have stopped and stood back up, but then he just decided to go fall back downward, which meant that he was done. He was done fighting Luffy. He wanted the man to win. He wanted the man to go, and that's why he had that big combo with him, and then he was done. So that explains a lot. So Katakuri, in the end, he did allow Luffy to win, or at least walk away in that moment. He let him. So pretty good stuff overall. I think Oda did a fantastic job with Katakuri, and I want to miss his character. He is easily one of my favorite characters of One Piece after all I've seen. Just really good stuff. So, moving into the final part of the chapter, actually two final parts, we go into the Fishman, Germa 66, and Big Mom's crew. So, Big Mom has arrived, and she is there, and she's like, life or death. This pretty much lets us know that our characters are not going to get out unscathed. They're going to suffer a critical defeat, and we don't really know what's going to happen to Jinbei. We have no idea what's really going to happen to him in the end. We just know that with Big Mom being there, it pretty much is almost non-existent for them to probably get out of there alive because of how Big Mom has been built up. So, yeah. Next time we see Big Mom, we might be finding out that Jinbei's dead. That's kind of sad to think about, and that's a nice little cliffhanger, I say. I think some are going to be upset with that. They're going to be very upset with the fact that we got a cliffhanger with Jinbei and all that, and then the Fishman, and not really seeing if they're okay. But in reality, I think that was a good thing, because that lets us itch and want to know what really happened. Is, Jinbei alive? Is he dead? What's really going to happen to him? Because that would also give reason for Luffy to come back and settle the score with Big Mom if he finds out something did happen to Jinbei, either dead or imprisoned. We can have that type of situation. So, anyways, let's talk about the final part, which holds a lot of weight. The arc ends off with Sanji cooking food for the Straw Hats, and the entire point of this arc was getting Sanji back so they can have their chef, because without their chef, obviously, they're not going to be able to function as a crew. It was very apparent when this arc started, when Luffy poisoned himself and all of that, they're not going to function at all if Sanji isn't there. But with the final chapter, having Sanji cook, it's very appropriate, and I think it's even better when they added in Zeph. When Oda showed Zeph in this chapter and had like a side-by-side panel of they are both doing the exact same thing, it represented how Zeph really is Sanji's father. Maybe not blood-related, but they really are father and son, and Sanji learned everything from owner Zeph. But I do want to point something out, though. Sanji has always had a certain thing about him. No matter who it is, no matter how vile a person is, he will feed them. That's what he's always been taught. That's what Zeph taught him. And in a way, it's beautiful. It's an amazing trait to have as a person. Willing to feed someone even if you know that they're a monster. And you got to think about what Sanji did. Sanji fed Big Mom. she's a monster, okay? Let's just be real here. She's pretty much a monster, and she has done some despicable things, and she will probably continue to do some despicable things. And when you think about everything, with Sanji feeding Big Mom and getting her back on her feet, he, in a way, caused what happened in this chapter, with Big Mom arriving to the scene against Jinbei. If Jinbei potentially dies, indirectly you could say it could be potentially Sanji's fault. And I feel like that's, once again, kind of playing to Sanji's flaw as a character. It's not his fault, it's just a character flaw, and it's always been there. For instance, helping out your, enemy, getting them back on their feet. It was the entire issue with Don Craig. You remember how he was in that arc, and that's kind of how Big Mom is right now. With Sanji getting Big Mom back on her feet, that means that she can kill anybody she wants. She's full power again, and so if she kills Jinbei, it's technically, Sanji's fault. And I feel like that's going to have a lot of major repercussions on Sanji in the future if Jinbei does really indeed die, because Sanji then will probably blame himself for that. Now, speaking of blaming for deaths, let's talk about Pedro. So, Pedro, he's confirmed dead. Which, there's a way for him to potentially be alive. We've seen characters live from unexplainable things, but from the way Oda wrote the beginning part of this chapter, it's very apparent that Pedro's probably dead, and his sacrifice had a lot of weight. And it kind of shows, once again, how scary a Yonko's crew is, because you don't just walk into their territory and think you can just leave. It's not that simple. And so with Pedro's sacrifice, it has a lot of weight. Without him dying, all of them would have not been able to escape in the first place. So there's a lot of weight there. And I'd really like the scene to where Carrot starts just patting Sanji's head and all that. Like, you should thank him. Instead of feeling bad and all that, just thank him. And she's crying. And I'm just like, yo, that's beautiful, because Pedro wouldn't want, anyone, saying sorry and all that and just crying and, just thinking like it's their fault. That, Pedro would want them to thank him. And so Sanji, he's not blaming himself. He realizes partially it is his fault, but he doesn't want to blame himself completely, because Pedro would want Sanji to thank him instead of just feeling sorry or taking the blame. So I'm glad Oda also clarified that, letting us know that Pedro is in fact dead, because, yeah, that's going to have an everlasting weight to what a Yonko really is capable of, and it'll definitely add more meaning to when Luffy decides to step up and fight a Yonko again. No, that's pretty much it. This arc of One Piece has been absolutely fantastic. I've loved it from start to finish, personally to me. It's had some slow chapters, I do admit that, but in reality, I do like this arc. It's definitely one of my personal favorites. I think it's probably my favorite arc after, the time skip, I say. It really is. I like this arc a lot. I know many didn't like some elements of it, but I always have had a thing for, like, Disney, like, Tim Burton type stuff, and then Big Mom has always interested me, and her entire family dynamic was interesting. So, just seeing how this arc was done, I enjoyed it, and I'm kind of sad to see it go. But at the same time, we're going to be getting into the Reverie and Wano very soon. So, speaking of that, so apparently, we're going to be having the Reverie first. I was reminded and all that we're getting Reverie first, and then we get Wano. So, yo. So, that's going to be something to look forward to. But I think I'm going to end this video here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and I love you guys. Chibi out.